Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. You're very, very welcome here. If it's your first time, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Christiana Davidson, and I'm a psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist, and I work in the area of narcissistic abuse in childhood. If you've had a parent who's narcissistic or two, and the impact that that has upon us in adulthood. My website is www.delightinyou.com if you'd like to work with me. Okay, so the topic today is empathy and self-blame. 2 ways to deny the abuse. So if you had a narcissistic mother or father, I would say that from the start, your experience of being in relationship with somebody else will have been marked by an underlying disrespect of you as your own person. And you will have experienced either being love bombed or discarded from the start. So there we have the golden child, the scapegoat. As a child, you were there, you were born to enter into your parents' world and to forever enable their false self. That's your mission as the child of a narcissistic parent. That's it. You're not here to fulfill your own mission, to make your own choices, to fulfill your own desires. You're here to enable their false self-image. So, growing up in this type of system, if things were going well for your narcissistic parent, well, then you felt like you were doing a good job, like you were doing something right. But if things were not going well for your narcissistic parent, then you were often blamed by them for it. So you came to believe that when conflict in relationships arises, it's your fault, that you are the problem in relationships, and thus need to be the one to remedy it, to make it right again. It's you that's causing all this uncomfortableness, this, the issues, your partner or your parents' bad mood. It's your fault. You're the problem here. You're the cause. And you see, in some senses, that way of understanding things gave you some power. Because if you are the cause, then you can also be the solution. And the number one aim for the child of a narcissistic parent is to maintain the bond, this toxic bond. They have to maintain the toxic bond in order to ensure that they won't be discarded. They won't be abandoned. So the aim of the narcissistic child is to maintain the trauma bond, is to maintain a toxic attachment, not a healthy one. Because a healthy one would spell being discarded, because it requires 2 separate individuals, both able to self-reflect and with the desire to truly connect with another. So the aim is to maintain that toxic bond, no matter the abuse, no matter how you're being disrespected, no matter what transpires. The aim is just to maintain that toxic bond. And so the child of a narcissistic parent's instinct is immediately to empathize with the parent against themselves. They hone in on how they have negatively impacted their parent, and they feel terrible about it. They hate themselves for the negative impact that they believe they bring to relationships, and they try to get that out of them. They try to somehow rid themselves of what it is that makes them the cause of issues. And you may even still today find yourself, from time to time, almost shaking your head at yourself when you get something wrong, or I don't know, it comes out wrong, or you say something displeasing, or someone's a bit annoyed with you. You kind of shake your head at yourself and give yourself a dirty look, and make yourself feel forever inadequate, like you are the problem, because you believe it in your core. So this process then of adopting blame for others' reactions and feelings is the solution of the child of the narcissistic parent. But you see, what it also does, it serves to keep you in denial of the actual abuse, the disrespect, the reality of the relationship. Not much of a relationship, really. It's one person adapting themselves to somebody else. There's no relating at all. It's not a relationship. And so the child of the narcissistic parent learns to accept that as love. And they try to maintain that at all costs, because what else is there? And by doing that, it serves to block them from actually seeing, hang on a second, this is all one-sided. I'm having to abandon myself here. I'm being disrespected in many levels. And in fact, and this is the thing that, all narcissistic relationships lead to ultimately, is this realization, I am discardable. And that actually, does this person really want me around? No, they don't actually want you. They just want you, useful you. That's all. Useful you is what they want, not you. I hope that makes sense. So, as a child of a narcissistic parent, if you can empathize with the parent instead of with yourself, it means there is hope for the maintenance of that relationship, of it lasting, and of you holding it together. I mean, surely, if you simply empathize with how they are feeling and not yourself, they will see. They'll see just how much you love them and are willing to sacrifice everything, and go to any lengths for them. Surely that will make them value you and respect you and adore you. Surely then they will want and value you. But no, in fact, the exact opposite is usually the case. The more you do this, the more you are disrespecting yourself, and the more they demand, and the more they take, and the less self-esteem you have. And then, the cycle perpetuates, because then you're low in self-esteem. You're going out there to look for someone to raise your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth. And then the love bombing from a narcissistic type comes along, and you're, catapulted into euphoria. Okay. So, in conclusion, empathy for others instead of the self, not yourself, and self-blame, making yourself the problem, are two key means of maintaining the trauma bond and some sense of control in relationships with a narcissistic parent or partner, doesn't matter. And I wonder, do you notice yourself doing this in present relationships in your life? Do you find yourself sort of empathizing and blaming yourself and trying to find out your part as a means of denying what you can actually see is there? It's total disrespect of you, that you're being used. You know, so many of my clients, they come to me and they say, yeah, but, you know, my parent, yeah, you know, she came from such a tough background and she was only doing the best she could with what she had at the time. Well, we have to ask the question, and I've said this in another video, doing the best she could for whom? Was it for you, really? Or was it for herself? You know, yes, we all come from trauma, but not all hurt people hurt people. It is a choice. Not all those who've been abused go on to abuse others. There seems to be a choice somewhere in this, and therefore accountability. So all of those phrases, in many instances, are a means of protecting yourself from the truth underneath it all, that there is zero respect and zero love. They don't really want nor love you. Not you. They only want useful you. Useful you. And as a child, you spend your life trying to become the useful you. Even if you were the scapegoat and you kind of rebelled against the system, you still took on the beliefs that you were the problem. You still took on the belief that maybe you weren't of use to anybody in relationships, or that your role is to sort of rebel, to get negative attention. You know, all of these things are still making yourself useful in the narcissistic system. To be the scapegoat in the system is useful, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So the clients that come to me often want to know their part and how they could be better next time, because secretly they still believe that they deserve no respect, and that they are a problem. And I'd like to suggest that until you and I begin to empathize with ourselves first, and to see life through our own eyes, to see the relationship through our own eyes, to experience it in our shoes, as they say, and then to place the blame out there, to see the abuse, to see the disrespect, to call it out for ourselves, to allow ourselves to see it, in other words, to come out of denial of it, and the fact that we've been discarded. We're no longer of use. That's the greatest fear. If we can face that and then begin to see, hang on, it's not me that's the problem here, it's them. Well, that is healing from narcissistic abuse, in my humble opinion. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments. I love reading your comments. I noticed the other day that I'm almost up to 1,000 subscribers now. I can't quite believe that. And it's wonderful to have all of you here, you know, and I hope in some little way, perhaps one of the videos may have helped you in your healing journey. I mean, what greater joy could that bring to me to know that in some small way. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a lovely afternoon. Take care.